President Cyril Ramaphosa has once again been elected as the head of state following the first sitting of the National Assembly. Despite the African National Congress losing its majority in the 2024 general election, it will still occupy power in the form of the presidency and the Speaker of the National Assembly. The party, which has been taunting a government of national unity, has come to an agreement with the second biggest political party in the country, the Democratic Alliance, which has now scored the position of the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly.
South Africa has entered a new political landscape. For the first time since the end of apartheid, a coalition government is in power. This historic shift marks a significant departure from the African National Congress, or ANC's dominance. The implications of this new era are far-reaching and uncertain. The success or failure of this coalition will have a profound impact on South Africa's future. The coalition, led by President Cyril Ramaphosa, represents a diverse range of political perspectives. The ANC, once the sole party in power, now shares the responsibility of governing with smaller parties. This includes the Democratic Alliance, or DA, its longtime rival. This unprecedented collaboration signals a potential for change. The move towards coalition politics is a testament to the evolving political consciousness of South Africans. Citizens are demanding more accountability and transparency from their leaders. They are no longer content with the one-party system that has defined the country's post-apartheid era. This shift towards a more inclusive democracy is a positive sign for the nation's future. The coalition government faces the daunting task of addressing South Africa's complex challenges. Poverty, inequality, and unemployment remain persistent issues. The government must work together to find innovative solutions to these problems. The success of the coalition will depend on its ability to overcome internal divisions. They must work together for the common good of all South Africans. The formation of a coalition government in South Africa was not an overnight phenomenon. It was the culmination of years of political shifts and evolving dynamics between the ANC and the DA. The ANC, once the symbol of the anti-apartheid struggle, had seen a decline in its popularity. The DA, historically seen as a party representing white interests, had been actively working to shed that image and broaden its appeal. The 2021 municipal elections served as a turning point. The ANC's performance dropped significantly. They lost control of key metropolitan areas. This outcome highlighted the growing dissatisfaction with the ANC's governance and its failure to effectively address issues like corruption and service delivery. The DA, on the other hand, made gains. This indicated a growing willingness among voters to consider alternatives. The prospect of losing its grip on power forced the ANC to reconsider its stance on coalitions. Previously opposed to sharing power, the party recognized the need for collaboration. The DA, eager to play a more influential role in national politics, also showed a willingness to negotiate. Both parties realized that the common good outweighed their historical differences. The need to address South Africa's pressing issues like unemployment, poverty, and inequality became paramount. This shared sense of urgency paved the way for dialogue and eventually the historic coalition agreement. The coalition government, while historic, is not without its challenges. The ANC and the DA, despite finding common ground, still have fundamental ideological differences. These differences could potentially lead to friction and hinder the government's ability to function effectively. One of the most significant challenges is the issue of land reform. The ANC has long advocated for the expropriation of land without compensation. They aim to redress the historical injustices of apartheid. The DA, however, favours a market-based approach to land reform. This difference in opinion could create a significant roadblock for the coalition. Economic policy is another potential area of conflict. The ANC traditionally leans towards a more socialist approach with state intervention in the economy. The DA, on the other hand, champions free market principles and limited government intervention. Finding a compromise that satisfies both parties will be crucial for economic stability and growth. Maintaining unity and coherence within the coalition will be an ongoing challenge. the government must ensure that all parties feel heard and their concerns are addressed. Effective communication and a commitment to finding common ground will be essential for the coalition's survival and success. Despite the challenges, the coalition government in South Africa presents a unique opportunity for progress. By working together, the ANC and the DA have a chance to usher in a new era of good governance, stability, and prosperity for the nation. One of the most significant potential benefits of the coalition is the opportunity to tackle corruption more effectively. The ANC has been plagued by allegations of corruption for years. The DA, with its emphasis on transparency and accountability, can play a crucial role in cleaning up the government and restoring public trust. The coalition also has the potential to foster greater political stability in South Africa. The ANC's dominance had, in recent years, been challenged by internal divisions and factionalism. By sharing power with other parties, the government can create a more inclusive political landscape. This could potentially reduce the risk of political instability and violence. Furthermore, the coalition government can leverage the strengths of each party to address South Africa's pressing socio-economic challenges. The ANC's understanding of the needs of the historically disadvantaged communities, combined with the DA's focus on economic growth and job creation, can create a more comprehensive and effective approach to tackling poverty, inequality, and unemployment. The formation of the coalition government has been met with mixed reactions from the South African public. There is a sense of hope that this new political arrangement will bring much-needed change and address the country's deep-rooted problems. However, skepticism and a wait-and-see approach also prevail. Many South Africans, particularly those who have borne the brunt of poverty, inequality, and poor service delivery, are cautiously optimistic. They see the coalition as a potential break from the past and an opportunity for a fresh start. The hope is that the government will prioritise the needs of the people and work towards creating a more just and equitable society. However, skepticism persists, particularly among those who question the ability of the ANC and the DA to work together effectively. The historical rivalry and ideological differences between the two parties make some doubt the longevity and stability of the coalition. There are concerns that internal conflicts and power struggles could derail the government's agenda and hinder progress. Despite the mixed reactions, there is a general consensus that South Africa needs change. The previous ANC-led government had been criticised for its handling of the economy, corruption scandals, and failure to deliver basic services. The coalition government has been given a mandate for change, and the public will be watching closely to see if it can deliver on its promises. The emergence of a coalition government in South Africa is not merely a recent political development, but the culmination of a long and complex historical journey. To fully grasp its significance, one must understand the historical context from which it has emerged. For decades, South Africa lived under the brutal system of apartheid, which systematically oppressed the black majority. The African National Congress, ANC, once a liberation movement fighting against apartheid, became synonymous with the struggle for freedom and equality. When apartheid finally crumbled in 1994, the ANC, led by Nelson Mandela, ascended to power with a wave of hope and expectation. The world watched in awe as South Africa transitioned into a democratic nation. However, the legacy of apartheid ran deep. The ANC, despite its best efforts, faced the daunting task of dismantling the structural inequalities and racial divisions that had been entrenched for centuries. While progress was made in areas such as education and healthcare, the ANC struggled to effectively address issues like poverty, unemployment, and land ownership. As years turned into decades, frustration grew among many South Africans who felt that the promise of a better life had not materialised. The ANC, once seen as the saviour of the nation, faced increasing criticism for corruption, nepotism, and a disconnect from the needs of the people. This disillusionment created a space for opposition parties like the DA to gain a foothold and challenge the ANC's dominance. Cyril Ramaphosa's second term as President of South Africa marks a critical juncture in the nation's history. Tasked with leading a coalition government, he faces the intricate balancing act of uniting diverse political ideologies while addressing South Africa's deep-rooted socio-economic challenges. Ramaphosa, known for his pragmatic approach and conciliatory style, will need to draw upon all his political acumen to navigate the complexities of this new era. One of Ramaphosa's immediate challenges is to maintain unity within the coalition itself. Balancing the interests of the ANC, with its history and socialist leanings, and the DA, with its market-driven approach, will require deft political manoeuvring. Clear communication, compromise, and a shared vision for South Africa's future will be paramount in preventing the coalition from fracturing along ideological lines. Simultaneously, Ramaphosa must address the high expectations of the South African people. The public, weary of corruption, poverty, and inequality, demands tangible results. Ramaphosa's government will need to prioritise job creation, economic growth, and service delivery to regain public trust and demonstrate the coalition's commitment to improving the lives of all South Africans. Furthermore, Ramaphosa's second term will be judged on his ability to tackle corruption effectively. Cleaning up the government, strengthening institutions, and upholding the rule of law will be crucial in restoring faith in the South African state. Failure to do so could further erode public trust and undermine the legitimacy of the coalition government. The formation of a coalition government in South Africa signifies a potential turning point towards a more inclusive and responsive democracy. While the road ahead will undoubtedly be fraught with challenges, the very act of diverse political parties coming together to govern offers a glimmer of hope for a nation grappling with its past and striving for a brighter future. The success of this coalition will